Roblox horror games. They're not that good. Most of the games on Roblox that are in the horror genre are for the most part pretty shit. They rely very heavily on jump scares, kind of take a lot out of the FNAF formula, especially with the you stay in one place, you're helpless and defenseless, and there's scary monsters that are coming to kill you, that kind of thing. And to an extent, finding a very good Roblox horror game that can actually give you a scary experience is pretty rare. So why did I come a month into my crusades and just decide to one day make a video about a Roblox horror game? Well, I'll tell you why. It's because I fucking felt like it, and you're gonna have to deal with that. So let's talk about Rooms. Probably one of the most impressive horror games that I've seen in the past couple of days on Roblox, to the point where I can actually say that not only is it scary, but it is one of the scariest and perhaps one of the best scary games on Roblox, truly matching the horror genre. At least it's better quality on horror than it is most of the other horror games. So let's start off with the why it is scary. So if you don't know the creator of Siren Head, I'll put his name up on the screen right now. Basically, the creator of Siren Head made a very interesting painting in which it depicts of you being inside a car. Right in front of you is an ever-thickening field of bushes and trees. And all around you, all you see are trees, but there is a monster in there. It's kind of difficult to spot out, but if you are able to without my help or without a little circle to indicate where the monster is, good for you. You're actually pretty perceptive, but I don't blame anyone who hasn't seen it. You might see the little circle on screen now, and you might just think that's trees, then you say that's not. So the reason I bring up this painting is because in an essence, this is what Room is. Rooms is a game on Roblox with the ambience and atmosphere being rooms that are infinite. They never seem to end, and it almost seems that they never seem to begin anywhere. Once you enter room 001 and progress, you start to realize that the rooms get darker, almost as if they kind of get thicker with the field. All you have is yourself. The one thing you know about every room is that right in front of it, somewhere in that room, there is a label to the next room. A continuation of what seems to be the nightmare of Rooms. Rooms is a game that gets darker, making you rely on a flashlight which you are given at the start of the game, which has limited consumption, i.e. it has a limited number of batteries that you better not fucking waste, because that shit dies so fast. But what it also brings is that if you run out of battery, you are screwed for the rest of the game, having to traverse almost blindly in darkness, trying to even get to the next room. There are an infinite number of rooms, as I've stated before, and it gives an unnerving sense of location. Perhaps at first, you walk through the first couple of rooms and maybe don't mind it too much. After all, yeah, it is a nice change of pace, walking through infinite rooms, but at least you find some familiarity in rooms. The rooms get darker and harder to navigate. You start finding yourself in a far more difficult situation to where the room is. You don't know what the room looks like. You can shine a flashlight really quickly and try and figure out and map out your location, but that sense of familiarity in the beginning rooms doesn't come again. And that's what really makes it scary, at least with the atmosphere. What's also to note is that noise is a very important factor, but we'll get into that later. With any noise or slight change of sounds being vital, and this raises restlessness, because you never know when or where a monster may be lurking, and whether or not you were able to hear it. The sense of helplessness, which is coming from the atmosphere and ambience, is what also brings this kind of terror from Rooms. Stating back to the painting, rooms is like the field that you see forward. The only thing you know is that you have to keep moving forward, even if it becomes thicker and thicker as you walk right through it. As you drive your car right by the road, you have to keep looking forward to the next place or the next road or whatever you see. Wherever you have to go, you have to continue moving. And that's the same thing with rooms. However, there may be things that stop you, and the only thing you'll have to defend yourself with are lockers, which, if in the infinite number of rooms, only spawn every now and again in a couple, which means that if they don't spawn and a monster spawns, you're screwed for the time being. What's also interesting is that unlike many other games on Roblox that try to make you have a senseless help of fear or helplessness, or try and give you like absolutely nothing or the common flashlight, Rooms actually gives you a flashlight. But unlike in some games where the flashlight may be a mechanic to ward away, spirits or monsters, like in FNAF to ward away Foxy, the flashlight is only a tool for navigation, not safety. And there's no stopping the monsters from coming after you. The only thing you have is a locker to defend yourself. But really, every time you get into a locker to defend yourself, you're only continuing the nightmare that is Rooms. The thing is, as well, is that Rooms is kind of a difficult game. Like I said, sound is very important, and we'll get into that later, but the monsters are important as well. But so are the rooms and the items that you have. Adding to the sense of helplessness is the only limited consumption of batteries. Now, if you didn't spend 10 fucking Robux, like a certain friend of mine, to get the goddamn gummy flashlight, which you could have saved and we could have made bank with, we could have gotten to at least room 300 if only he had a gummy flashlight. The flashlight that you normally get is actually pretty limited in its power. You have to collect batteries, which, stating on the wiki and by my own experience, in simple terms, you're not gonna find them. They spawn very rarely, and when they spawn, you want to conserve that as much as possible. One of the strategies to rooms is that with the rooms getting darker and darker as you progress, you are going to need your flashlight more and more. In the beginning rooms, it only gets a little darker, so you don't have to pay too much attention to it. Maybe you'll use your flashlight here and there to map out an area or to try and figure out what's in front of you. But as rooms progresses, the rooms almost become pitch black, needing you to require your flashlight almost all of the time. It's almost as if the game doesn't want you to walk with a light, but rather wants you to walk blind, hoping to kill you while you don't notice. And that kind of fear of needing more power, because you know that eventually you're gonna have to use it all, is what really makes this game scary to an extent. Adding on to the atmosphere and noises that you may hear, the fact that you only have a limited amount of power for your own tool of navigation makes this borderline unsettling and unnerving, because once that thing runs out, you ain't gonna be finding another battery almost. But what also is interesting about Rooms is also its story. So let's get into that, shall we? I'm gonna be real, Chief. I don't know what it is. You're stuck in a place with two monsters, A60 and A200. Yes, that's the real names. You can search it up on the wiki. They have no real names. And an infinite set of rooms, which people have gone almost to a world record of room like 2,169. The story seems to be a sequel of Bob is Missing, another game the developer made, whose name is Nico Rocks, in which the setting is a forest and a cave and stuff where you have to find Bob, who's been missing. Wow, it's almost as if that's the title of the game. Oh my god. What's kind of interesting though is that one of the desks in the rooms actually has the name Bob with a purple keycard next to it. Now, one of the more interesting things is that I didn't play the game, so you're gonna have to rely on this footage. The purple keycard actually does exist in Bob is Missing, and it is a vital part to the game itself, as it does get you to the endings. in which you start spawning demons, things get wacky tacky, tabacky, and then you just start tripping real hard at that point. So, yeah, that's the purple key card. Whether or not the key card is canon, or the desk itself where Bob is canon, or if it's just an Easter egg, is up for debate. But I'm gonna put it out there and say that it's likely just an Easter egg, as the room doesn't hold any meaning to Bob with the key card, most likely just being an Easter egg for the game. Plus, we're gonna have to assume that the key card somehow ended up there, which it couldn't have unless the main character, survives, saves Bob, which I don't actually think is possible, goes to the office, gets to his desk, and puts it there without realizing that the room's lit. Plus, you can't say that you're the main character of that game, because you would have the purple key card if you just kind of came in, and Bob would be a figure in the game. Unless, of course, the game just kind of fucks you off and tells you, no, Bob is somewhere. Maybe he's outside and he just can't hear you banging at the door constantly. But I digress. For the most part, it doesn't make sense, and it seems kind of far-fetched. But, I mean, if they wanted to, they very well could make a kind of canon for that. So, kind of going back to the game, I'm sorry I sidetracked on the lore, but I kind of wanted to delve deeper into the mechanics and monsters, and I'll kind of keep this short because it helps with the scare thing, but it's not the main thing. So let's talk about these things pretty quickly. Monsters. A60, aka your dad when I did your mom last night, is quick, has 3 faces, one of them being from Earthbound, and alternates between them. Makes a sound that constantly is muffled from the ambience noise, and will kill you if you're not in a locker. The tip here is to just not die, and look out for the red lights approaching you. You will not be able to escape if you run. You will die. Trust me. A200 is a smiley faced used in a lot of horror games like Recovery, another Roblox game, which is shit. He is slow, but is more deadly. He will spawn in your room, and the only way to have him leave is to get into a locker. He will make a low bang sound, as the wiki describes it, and he spawns when you hear a random ghostly laugh. Also, he spawns at random intervals, so if you don't have a locker in your room, good luck, buddy. You're just gonna need it. You're gonna need it, trust me. Mechanics are pretty interesting too, and important to mention. Once you die, you will become a ghost, and will become invisible in the leaderboard, as well as no communication between living and dead, and more dead. You will be able to see dead people, and you will be able to see the living people, but they won't see you, and the only people that can see you are ghosts, which you can't communicate with. Another mechanic is sound, which I've been hinting at towards this entire video, but sound is actually extremely important, and just as it is important, it is extremely unreliable. Like, no shit, the sound is pretty bad, and it's never clear when the monsters spawn. A200's laugh is probably the only thing you are going to hear, because A60's like, I don't know what they even describe it as. I guess it's like some noise, like a wind sound or a static sound when he despawns, is mainly going to be taken up by the ambient noise. But in my opinion, it's actually kind of scary, because the fact that you never truly know when the monsters are spawning or when they even despawn gives you this sense of just fucking paranoia. Am I gonna die? Or should I just hide in this locker for 30 more minutes and just, I don't know, watch YouTube videos in the meanwhile? Maybe just watch a guide on rooms. Maybe just watch this video. Now, some of you, for some they might call it bad game design for the ambient noise to be louder than the monster noises. But little do they know that the shittier the mechanics, the scarier it is one way or another. It's also important to mention that the flashlight, like I said, is pretty shit, and the gummy flashlight stays awake for about 3 seconds, and then it auto kills itself, and then you have to shake it up and then get it back up and running. So it's even worse. Got all that? Great. Now, I've kind of been talking about why it's scary, but let me try and summarize it very quickly. The game is scary due to the idea that, like in the painting that I've been mentioning throughout this video, the rooms are infinite. You never know when you are going to go. By simply defending yourself and by hiding, you are only perpetuating the cycle of hiding and getting scared. The farther you go, the scarier it gets in that sense. It's also to mention that the ambience and even the monsters to an extent are scary. A60 is by far one of the scariest monsters in the game. In fact, it is one of the two most scariest monsters in the game. With its 3 alternating faces, one of them looks broken, the other one looks, you know, like the P word, and the other one just is from Earthbound, which is already a pretty unsettling face on its own. This adds on to the creepiness factor, but the thing is that you're mainly never gonna see this. Only really what you're gonna be seeing is the fact that the rooms get darker and darker. And the one thing you always know is that right in front of you, throughout all these rooms, there is a sign to the next room, and the next room, and the next room. That's the only thing you are ever sure of. And the thing is that as time progresses, these monsters want to kill you. They want to halt your process of perpetuating you. Perhaps in some way the monsters serve as saints, perhaps even fucking angels of the day, because they kill you and they end your experience, making the rooms brighter as a ghost, not needing to worry about them anymore, realizing that you are dead and that you can't progress any longer. Perhaps they put you out of your misery of continuing over and over and over and over again. This cycle of hiding in darker and darker rooms, never being sure when or where you are, just being sure that the next room is there somewhere, that the sign to the next room is your escape. But that escape is a lie, and you know it is, and it never ends. But why? But you continue on. You keep going, you keep moving, you keep hoping that maybe you'll find the exit, that maybe you will survive, that somehow, like human nature, you will find a way to get out of this. You will find a way to live. Like human instinct, you want to live. But sometimes you realize that death is the only thing that will actually help you in this game. Because the rooms don't ever end. And the monsters are probably the only thing that end your suffering. And that's Rooms. Probably one of the best Roblox horror games.